A man with dark hair points critically, telling someone they missed a spot and questioning how they couldn't see it. A brown-haired woman, seen through a window, silently scrubs with a frustrated expression. As the disembodied voice continues to nitpick her cleaning, the brown-haired woman thinks in frustration that he should just clean it himself. The brown-haired woman confronts the man in a formal white and blue uniform, demanding he repeat his criticism, while he nervously thinks that things are about to go wrong. Flustered, she declares she can't even see the dust that Mr. Park is complaining about. The man scoffs at her, questioning if her eyesight is bad before correcting her, stating his name is Matthias Ewald von Garciel. Matthias insults her further, calling her a single-celled organism for forgetting his name so many times, leaving her stunned. A butter knife flies through the air as the brown-haired woman explains she mistook Matthias for a bug. Matthias demands to know what she just said, causing the woman to quickly retract her statement and address him as Lord Matthias. Overwhelmed with despair, the brown-haired woman clutches her head, wondering how her life became such a mess. The narrative shifts, promising to go back in time to explain how she ended up in her current predicament. In a flashback, a short-haired woman is shown on a crowded train, described as an ordinary office worker in Korea before she was reincarnated. Her old life took a turn when she won the housing lottery, a moment she thought was all her luck used up at once. Then, she died, a fate her past self laments as incredibly unfair after finally getting a lucky break. She was then reincarnated into the body of a young girl named Mia Fortuna, who looks at her new, small hands with confusion. Believing she's in a typical romance novel, Mia notes that her appearance is ordinary, right down to her plain brown hair. She also concludes her abilities are ordinary, unlike the flashy main characters often depicted with powerful magic. Examining her simple yellow dress, Mia deduces that her family is also ordinary, likely making her a commoner. Sitting on the steps of a rustic home, she wonders if she's even a character in a novel at all, as nothing feels familiar. After putting the past behind her, Mia recalls living a happy second life with her kind, bearded grandfather. Her grandfather often repeated a saying, "Horses go to the countryside, people go to the capital." Now older, Mia sits sadly beside her luggage, wiping away a tear, as she was supposed to go to the capital with him. Full of new resolve, Mia sits atop a wooden cart, pumping her fists and shouting her determination to face the future. Her journey leads her to a large brick building in the city. In an office, a man with glasses and tied-back hair asks Miss Mia Fortuna for her budget, and she replies it's about 50 million give. The man admits her budget is small, but says he has houses to show her, much to Mia's delight. The man suggests they go look at a house first, and an ecstatic Mia eagerly agrees. They arrive at a stunning, large house, which the man introduces as the first option. Mia is utterly shocked, unable to believe such a grand house could be worth only 50 million given. As the man leads her up the stairs, warning her not to get lost, Mia excitedly thinks this must be her reward for her past life's misfortune. He leads her down into a dark, dungeon-like room, ominously declaring it's the place. Mia is horrified and covers her mouth, questioning if people can actually live in such a place. The man explains it's a cheap, unused space, but Mia is distracted by a terrifying message scrawled on the wall. "Save me." He then presents a grotesque, sarcophagus-like object as a move-in gift bed from the landlord, and Mia recoils in terror. Trembling, Mia asks what happened to the previous tenants, and the man begins to answer. The man beams, cheerfully claiming that everyone who lived there became so successful they moved out, but Mia internally calls him a liar. Mia nervously suggests the sinister atmosphere is too much and asks about other houses, prompting the man to note her preference for ambiance. They drive off in a classic car to the next location. Arriving at another house, the man announces this is it, and Mia cautiously observes that the exterior seems fine. She looks around with a slight tilt of her head, seemingly assessing the new property. Inside, Mia struggles against an invisible force pushing her back, exclaiming that the house feels strange. The man calmly dismisses her struggle, describing the strange phenomenon as a stylish and artistic postmodern feature. Ouch. Mia smacks into a wall and demands he show her a normal house for once. The man sighs, explaining that with the capital's high housing prices, her 50 million budget severely limits her options. He claims he put careful thought into finding these places, but Mia insists a house must at least be livable for a person. With a glint in his glasses, the man agrees to her terms. Mia prays desperately that the next option will be a good one, willing to settle for even a studio apartment. They arrive before a grand, magnificent mansion surrounded by lush greenery. The man explains this is a manor house where a great lord once lived, boasting a spacious yard and many rooms, leaving Mia speechless. He adds that the beautiful antique furniture is also part of the house's charm, as they admire a lavish room. Mia reacts in shock to the news that she doesn't have to pay for the house, thinking she's hit the jackpot. A man with glasses and a ponytail outlines the first condition. The house must be kept immaculately clean. He then reveals the second condition is a lifetime contract, making it impossible for her to ever move out. The reality of being stuck cleaning the massive mansion until she dies begins to sink in for a worried Mia. In a stark black and white panel, a determined Mia raises her hand, decisively accepting the offer. Despite her suspicions, Mia signs the contract, reasoning that it's a better deal than anything else she's seen. Her true motivation is revealed. She sees the deal as a lottery ticket that will pay for her entire life. With a flourish, she passionately signs her name, sealing the deal. The man with glasses announces the contract is complete, as an overjoyed Mia thanks him profusely. With a knowing smile, the man cryptically wishes her luck. Confused by his parting words, Mia wonders what he could possibly mean. She waves goodbye to his departing carriage, still pondering his ominous good luck. Thud! Her heavy trunk is set down with finality. Now in a new outfit, Mia stands before her new home, proudly declaring, "I'm finally here." Overwhelmed by the sheer size of the interior, she realizes cleaning the mansion alone will be an immense challenge. She briefly contemplates using the $4 million given to hire a maid to help with the upkeep. Deciding against it for now, she plops down on a fancy sofa to relax, choosing to tackle the cleaning herself. As evening falls, she plans to clean her room but quickly decides to procrastinate and go to bed early instead. Giving in to exhaustion, she falls asleep on the sofa, vowing to start cleaning in the morning. A close-up shows Mia sleeping peacefully, unaware of what's to come. She lies asleep on the couch, surrounded by the silent, grand room. A voice calls out to her, and she groggily stirs, wondering who it is. A ghostly figure, Matthias, stands over her, calling her a lazy woman as Mia finds herself unable to move. Matthias glares disapprovingly, shocked she's sleeping in an uncleaned house, while Mia fears she's experiencing sleep paralysis. He warns her to start her job or regret it, then magically flips open her suitcase, scattering her things everywhere as Mia internally curses the damn ghost. Jolting awake, Mia angrily demands to know who's touching her belongings without permission. She looks around the empty room, confused. Her expression is one of tired annoyance. She finds her suitcase neatly closed on the sofa and realizes the scene is identical to her dream. Dismissing it as a coincidence, she tells herself she must have left it that way before dozing off. Yawning and stretching, Mia decides to get an early start on the cleaning. As she wonders where to begin, the ghostly form of Matthias silently appears behind her. A new morning dawns over the sprawling mansion. While stomping laundry in a large tub, Mia grimaces at how dirty the water is. Whoa. An unseen force suddenly shoves her from behind. Splash! Soaked and sputtering, Mia looks around in shock, wondering if someone just pushed her. Later that afternoon, the work continues at the mansion. Exhausted Mia sits down to take a well-deserved break. Bang! The chair is violently thrown backward, and a startled Mia demands to know why it suddenly moved. The sun sets, casting an evening glow over the estate. Utterly tired from a full day of work, Mia wearily walks through a hallway. She looks up as the massive chandelier above her begins to shake ominously. Snap! A crucial part of the chandelier breaks loose. Mia looks up, confused by the sudden noise. Her eyes widen in sheer terror as she sees the enormous chandelier plummeting towards her. Kia! She lets out a piercing scream. Crash! The chandelier smashes into countless pieces on the floor. On the ground and surrounded by wreckage, a terrified Mia questions why the chandelier suddenly fell. She has a chilling realization. If she had been standing in a slightly different spot, she would have been killed. Mia stares in utter shock, her face pale and beaded with sweat, as the reality of her situation sinks in. A dark-haired man in a formal white and blue uniform appears, coolly asking if she didn't believe him when he said she would regret it. Startled and afraid, Mia demands to know who he is and why he has barged into her house. The man reveals his identity with an imposing presence. He is the master of this mansion. A bewildered Mia questions his claim of being the master, insisting that she signed the deed for the mansion herself. Smirking, the man condescendingly notes that she doesn't seem to be the type who reads contracts carefully. Recalling the document, Mia remembers pulling the contract from a drawer, a vague memory of fine print surfacing in her mind. A closer look at the contract reveals a clause in impossibly small text, making her the mansion manager, prompting Mia's frustrated outcry. Holding the paper with trembling hands, Mia yells in horrified realization that it was all a scam. The man coldly informs her that she signed the contract and must fulfill her duties, but Mia defiantly shouts that she is terminating it immediately. In response to her defiance, the man simply raises one glowing finger. An ornate chandelier suddenly detaches from the ceiling and crashes toward the floor with a powerful burst of energy. Mia looks up in terror as the massive chandelier hovers just inches above her head, held by an invisible force. The man threatens her, suggesting his hand might slip if she persists, causing Mia to cry out in absolute fear. In a complete reversal, Mia gives 2 enthusiastic thumbs up with a tearful, forced smile, apologizing profusely, and declaring that lifetime contracts are the best. Mia breathes a huge sigh of relief as the levitating chandelier is safely moved aside. Placing his foot on the fallen chandelier, the man informs her that as manager, her primary duty is to ensure the cleanliness of the mansion. He warns her that failure to uphold the contract will lead to more regret, then phases through a wall, leaving Mia aghast. Hesitantly, Mia asks for her contractor's name, and he formally introduces himself as Matthias Ewald von Garciel. A portrait of Matthias highlights his stern, aristocratic demeanor. Matthias clarifies he is an immortal, being manifested by the contract, not a ghost, but Mia equates this to being a territorial ghost, which he angrily denies. Annoyed, Matthias calls her a dimwit, and Mia internally decides to spitefully call him Mr. Park, the territorial ghost. While Mia ponders the territorial ghost option she never selected, an exasperated Matthias insists he is not a ghost. As Matthias's translucent form begins to walk away, a panicked Mia asks where he's suddenly going. Filled with fiery resolve, Mia furiously pedals away on a bicycle, screaming that she is terminating the contract no matter what. She seethes with anger, vowing to find the broker who scammed her and give him a piece of her mind. Arriving at her destination, Mia stops short, confused by what she sees, or rather, doesn't see. The entire real estate office has vanished, leaving only an empty lot, and Mia wonders where it could have gone. As a passerby walks past, a panicked Mia wonders aloud what on earth could have happened. She asks a man about the missing office, only to be told the agency closed and moved out in a great hurry. No way. The shocking news sends Mia falling to her knees in despair. Sobbing uncontrollably, Mia wails that she is now truly trapped with no way out of her predicament. Sometime later, a grimy Mia pulls weeds in the garden, acknowledging that she can't continue living this way. She stands victoriously over a patch of weeds, raising them like a trophy in front of the enormous mansion. Her search for a solution leads her to another large brick building in the city. At the Haywood Job Agency, a man informs Mia that the mansion is on their blacklist, and they cannot make any referrals. At the Londi Job Agency, a woman flatly refuses, explaining the house is so famously haunted that even a cardinal failed to exorcise it. A stunned Mia asks if the rumors are that bad, prompting the woman to ask if she actually lives there. Mia laughs nervously and brushes it off, saying it just kind of happened, earning her a look of amazement from the woman. The agent advises that no agency will help and suggests she try placing a job advertisement in the newspaper instead. Intrigued by the idea of a job ad, Mia listens as the woman explains she can advertise anything as long as she pays. Thanking the woman for the suggestion, a newly hopeful Mia decides to head straight for the newspaper office. Mia puts out her ad with a desperate plea, hoping someone will bite, and promises good pay. Back at the mansion, Mia scrubs laundry, while Matthias's ghostly form gives her unsolicited cleaning advice. A montage of chibi-style scenes shows Matthias relentlessly nagging Mia about her cleaning methods and personal tidiness. It turns out Mr. Park, the nagging ghost reputation, scared everyone away, despite the high salary offer. As Matthias continues his critiques, Mia prays for anyone to arrive before the stress kills her. And just then, ding dong, the doorbell rings. Her prayer is answered. An overjoyed Mia drops everything and rushes to the door, exclaiming that someone is here. With a radiant, beaming smile, Mia throws the door open and shouts a massive, enthusiastic, "Welcome!" A handsome, dark-haired man with piercing blue eyes appears in a shower of golden light. Dressed in a sharp suit and tie, the man formally introduces himself, stating it's a pleasure to meet her. An utterly flustered Mia wonders what such a handsome man is doing at her humble and haunted house. He explains that he came in response to the job ad, causing Mia to ask in disbelief if he's applying to be a housekeeper. The man confirms that the posting's conditions matched his job search perfectly, while Mia recalls the ad was for live-in cleaning. Holding up a paper, he confidently states that the qualifications listed in the ad were a perfect match for him. A confused Mia asks what qualifications he's talking about, suddenly remembering she delegated the ad's creation to someone else. The ad she posted was incredibly shady, seeking an isolated person who wouldn't be missed, making Mia fear it was for organ trafficking. Incredulously, Mia asks if he really came after reading such a suspicious ad, and he calmly replies, yes. Her immediate, deadpan conclusion is that the man standing before her must be a pervert. Deciding to take a chance, Mia resolves that as long as he isn't a criminal, Having anyone is better than no one. She's shocked to read his resume. Dante Vanini, age 23, a former commander of special magic forces and a national war hero. Completely bewildered, Mia asks Dante why someone with such an incredible career would want to be a housekeeper in her home. In response, Dante simply puffs out his chest with a proud, confident smile. Utterly baffled, Mia wonders why on earth he's striking such a proud pose while applying for a cleaning job. Suddenly, Mia realizes, with a jolt, where she's heard the name before: Dante Van Dyke, a former Special Forces commander. Her memory flashes to a novel about an illegitimate princess fighting against the collapse of the class system. This princess's goal was to preserve the old ways, preventing the abolition of the rigid social hierarchy. The male lead of that story was a warrior, used and discarded like a slave on the battlefield by the royal family. Fueled by hatred for the nobles, he eventually succeeded in a bloody coup d'etat, overthrowing the entire system. Horrified at the thought of getting involved in a coup, Mia nervously tries to address him as Mr. Dante Van Dyke. She attempts to turn him away, suggesting he look elsewhere for work, which makes his face fall in disappointment. Leaning closer, Dante asks if there is a problem with his resume, his sudden proximity startling Mia. His eyes glow with a chilling intensity as he demands she tell him the reason for her rejection. Terrified by his menacing aura, Mia panics, fearing he will actually kill her if she turns him down. In a desperate reversal, Mia claps her hands with a frantic smile, declaring it was a pressure interview and that he's hired. Dante accepts with a polite thank you, while a sweating Mia inwardly panics for having hired him out of sheer terror. A desperate new idea strikes her, and she decides to use a different method to get out of this. She brightly informs a surprised Dante that there is, in fact, a probation period for the job. With a strained smile, Mia internally pleads for him to get the hint and cancel his application. Dante, however, simply offers a pleasant and unwavering smile, completely unfazed by her attempt. Thud. Her plan's failure leaves Mia utterly speechless. Snap! With impossible speed and precision, Dante expertly hangs the laundry out to dry. Within moments, the entire mansion is sparkling clean, and he calmly asks what task he should tackle next. Dressed in an apron, Dante beams with satisfaction, clearly pleased with his immaculate work. Mia weeps with tears of overwhelming joy and disbelief, crying out about how unbelievably good he is at housekeeping. Realizing she is screwed, Mia laments how perfect he is as Dante points out a speck of dust on the ceiling from afar. He suddenly appears behind her, startling her by addressing her as Master. Flustered, Mia quickly asks him to refrain from calling her Master, finding the title uncomfortable. Dante logically points out that since she is his employer, it is only proper to call her his master. Blushing profusely, Mia struggles to explain that while he's technically right, the term master just feels strange to her. He suggests finding another title for her. Moving closer as a confused Mia asks what he means. He begins listing options like a game menu, employer, manager, or captain, none of which appeal to her. As he continues with boss, lady, and princess, Mia's expression sours with growing irritation. When he gets to option 7, Quee, Mia cuts him off with a loud, "Enough!" Defeated, she covers her face and relents, telling him to just call her whatever he wants. Later, Mia watches through the window as Dante diligently and skillfully cleans the mansion's exterior. While Mia pulls weeds, she snaps at Matthias for playing favorites, but he simply affirms his stance. Matthias angrily scolds her, saying she can't compare to Dante while she's busy pulling up rose seedlings, thinking they're lettuce. Holding a thorny green plant, a flustered Mia realizes it was a rose bush and apologizes, asking if it was Precious. A man in an ornate uniform touches his forehead in anguish, stating that Precious doesn't even begin to cover it. The narration explains that the estate and its beautiful gardens were once a famous vacation destination for nobles. Amidst a vision of a stunning gazebo and pink flowers, the narration reveals the most famous of all was the Rilke rose. Panicked, Mia realizes the breathtakingly wide garden must have contained insanely expensive plants and thinks she's dead meat. The man in the formal uniform informs a shocked Mia that the garden's upkeep is now her responsibility, which she questions in disbelief. A wide shot of the sparkling green lawn mockingly labels Mia, standing in the distance, the mother of nature. Bathed in a radiant light, Mia smiles confidently and dismisses the idea as nonsense. Knowing she's hopeless at housework, the man instructs her to hire gardeners and other staff as needed. He then adds that, like their maid, the new staff should have combat skills, leaving Mia to wonder why. With a serious expression, the man warns her that unwelcome guests will be arriving soon. Mia seems confused, questioning if Mr. Matthias and Mr. Dante aren't enough protection for the mansion. The man states that more eyes mean a cleaner and safer mansion, prompting Mia to internally label him a germophobic ghost with OCD. A brilliant idea strikes Mia. If she hires someone more competent than Dante, she'll finally have a reason to fire him. Clenching her fists in excitement, she declares her plan perfect and decides to head into town to post a hiring ad. A concerned Mr. Dante offers to accompany her, but Mia waves him off, saying she won't be buying anything heavy. In the next room, Mr. Dante pauses his sweeping to effortlessly lift an entire ornate bathtub with one hand, looking puzzled. Looking on with an annoyed expression, Mia wonders if the entire house is full of cleaning maniacs. As Mia rushes out the door promising to be back soon, a worried Mr. Dante calls out her title. While Mia pedals her bicycle, Mr. Dante's worried thought about her safety follows. She rides on, thinking that finding someone to meet the OCD freak's high standards will be a challenge. She mentally scolds herself to focus, reminding herself that getting on the wrong side of her employers could be considered treason. Reaffirming her goal, she pedals harder, convinced that firing Dante is the correct course of action. Arriving in town, Mia slams her hands on a desk, demanding the ad writer do a proper job this time, unlike the last Doomsday Proclamation. The man with orange suspenders casually dismisses her complaint, but she insists he write a normal ad this time. With a confident thumbs up, the man agrees, leaving Mia feeling a bit uncertain. While browsing a clothing rack in the market, Mia stops, overcome by a sudden feeling of unease. Her eyes land on a beautiful pink floral dress, and she's immediately captivated. She asks the shopkeeper for the price, and he tells her it costs 300,000 gib. Shocked by the price, Mia protests it's too expensive, so the shopkeeper offers a meager 5,000 gib discount. Mia privately scoffs, thinking the dress looks like it's worth 20,000 at best and that the man is trying to fool her. Playing coy, she pretends to have forgotten her wallet and gives a playful wink to get out of the situation. The shopkeeper's demeanor darkens as he angrily tells her she must buy the dress if she touched it. He aggressively insists he saw her touch it, but Mia stands her ground and denies the accusation. Suddenly, two thugs appear, backing the shopkeeper's claim and pointing to an imaginary rip, leaving Mia stunned. The thugs menacingly advise her to just buy the dress to avoid anyone getting hurt, as she realizes she's been cornered. A smirk crosses Mia's face as she understands their scam. Resolving not to be an easy mark, she fiercely points at them, shouting that any dress that rips from a simple touch is clearly trash. In a flash, a hand forcefully grabs her sleeve. The blonde thug grips her collar, snarling about her mouthing off, as a shocked Mia wonders what kind of bastard he is. Repeating her defiant words, Mia challenges the thug, asking if she should touch and rip his clothes in return, before her sleeve is grabbed again. The enraged thug tightens his grip, asking if she knows who he is to act so recklessly. Frightened, Mia asks if he's some kind of king as he crushes her wrist. He asks if she has a death wish, squeezing tighter as Mia winces in pain and thinks she needs to escape. A gasp of, "Oh my," comes from an unseen observer. The flustered thug frantically denies it, insisting he's wearing red underwear today. Bam! Seizing her chance, Mia twists the distracted thug's arm and slams him into a nearby clothing rack. The thug screams in agony, clutching his shoulder, while Mia stares in shock, completely bewildered by her own actions. The man in suspenders rushes to the blonde thug, Gunther, who cries out that his shoulder is dislocated. Hearing his pain screams, a worried Mia decides she has to run away immediately. Just as she turns to flee, a hand grabs her shoulder, demanding to know where she's going. Yanked backward forcefully, Mia lets out a sharp scream. She falls to the ground, clutching her shoulder in pain. The furious shopkeeper threatens to make her suffer the same fate as the thug she injured. Suddenly, the shopkeeper groans and collapses forward, struck by an unseen force. The blonde thug, Gunther, looks on in shock, asking his fallen companion what just happened. Seizing the opportunity, Mia scrambles to her feet and sprints away from the scene. After running a long distance, she stops in a sunlit forest, hoping she's finally safe. A familiar voice calls out that she dropped something, causing her to turn in surprise. Standing heroically in a field of flowers, Mr. Dante greets her with a bicycle as she exclaims his name. Mr. Dante explains he followed her and brought a bike just in case, which a grateful Mia accepts. Putting the pieces together, Mia asks Mr. Dante if he was the one who knocked the thug down. He smiles, admitting he just gave the man a little scare to avoid a messy situation. His expression turns serious as he asks about her shoulder that was grabbed earlier. Mia laughs it off, flexing her arm and insisting she's sturdy enough to be fine. Mr. Dante steps closer, his gaze intense as he places a hand gently on her shoulder to inspect it. Blushing, Mia asks why he's so close, but he warns her that the pain might set in later. As he suggests a trip to the hospital, she comically sprouts extra arms to wave him off, insisting she's perfectly fine. His attention is suddenly captured by the small, sparkling necklace she's wearing. Mr. Dante asks where she got the necklace and she repeats his question in surprise. Mia explains with earnest emotion that the necklace is a keepsake from her father. With a somber expression, Mr. Dante quietly asks if her father has passed away. She confirms that much is certain, much to his surprise. Mia recounts that her mercenary father's belongings were simply returned by the army without explanation. Mr. Dante offers sympathy, but she admits she feels little grief, as she can't even remember his face. They fall into a comfortable silence, walking side by side with the bicycle between them. Breaking the silence, Mia asks Mr. Dante why a noble would choose to work as a housekeeper. He gives a simple, charming answer: because I like cleaning. When she questions if that's the only reason, he elaborates that he was never allowed to clean at home. Looking toward the estate in the distance, he confesses that he just wanted to rest. Mia looks at him with sudden understanding dawning in her eyes. A narration reveals that in the original story, Dante was a war hero who renounced his titles, filled with hatred for the imperial family that had mistreated him. Lost in thought, Mr. Dante mutters about the weather, wondering if it will rain before he can do the laundry. Sensing her gaze, he tells her he understands that feeling of wanting to rest. Drawing on her past life as an office worker, Mia explains the concept of burnout to a confused Mr. Dante. She cheerfully clarifies that burnout is when accumulated stress causes one to collapse and lose all drive. Arriving back at the mansion under a starry sky, Mr. Dante tells her it's late and she should go inside. He offers a warm, reassuring smile as he stands with his bicycle. Mia looks back at him with wide, thoughtful eyes before agreeing to go in. Lying in bed, she reflects on Dante's strange wistfulness, a stark contrast to the hate-filled man he was supposed to be. A sudden noise from outside her room startles her, causing her to sit up abruptly. Cautiously, she peeks out her door, whispering Mr. Dante's name into the dark hallway. A gloved hand suddenly clamps over her mouth as a scarred man threatens her to stay quiet if she values her life. Mia's eyes widen in absolute terror as she's silenced. She finds herself held captive by 3 hooded intruders, one of whom is being scolded for making noise while trying to catch a falling vase. Her mind races in panic as she realizes her room has been invaded by thieves. The scarred man holding her leans in close, calmly stating that they are just looking for something. With a menacing smile, he suggests that her cooperation would be the easiest way for everyone. Terrified, Mia struggles against his grip, her hands trying futilely to pry his hand from her mouth. Clack. As Mia reaches for a large wooden door, she reminds herself that she needs to clean this room too. Matthias materializes in a brilliant blue aura, sternly forbidding her from entering without permission. But Mia cheekily asks if he plans to clean it himself. With a grave expression, Matthias warns her that if she enters the room, she will die, leaving a stunned Mia to question what he means. Unconvinced, Mia playfully wonders if he's just trying to scare her or if he's hiding something important, like a secret diary. A frustrated Matthias reiterates that if she wishes to die, she should by all means go inside. Mia teases that his jokes will be the death of her, but ultimately agrees not to enter, happily noting it means less cleaning for her. Later, Mia recalls the incident with a look of shock, realizing the forbidden room was a chapel, while Dante remarks that he knew it. He presses a cold blade to her chest, and Mia panics upon realizing it's a real sword. Terrified but thinking fast, Mia bluffs that the door is sealed with a code that only she knows, making her indispensable. The hooded man angrily grabs her by the collar, demanding an explanation, while Mia inwardly hopes to stall long enough for Matthias to appear. The leader dismisses her as a mere maid, but his subordinate corrects him, reporting market rumors of a brown-haired witch who owns the mansion. Scoffing at the idea of easily capturing a witch, the leader brandishes his dagger, while Mia feels insulted by his dismissive attitude. The man gives her a final, menacing order to lead the way, and a defeated Mia curses her situation. Trembling, Mia reluctantly agrees and leads the intruders down a dark, stone corridor. Arriving at their destination, Mia realizes the chapel has vanished, and one of the men confirms that the rumors of its disappearance were true. The hooded men speculate on the cause, one suggesting the witch drove it out, while the other dismisses it as an exaggeration. Before a grand set of doors where the chapel once stood, Mia nervously announces that this is the place. As the lead intruder holds a knife at the ready, he orders a terrified Mia to open the door. Panicking, Mia screams in disbelief, asking if he really wants her to, and he furiously yells back for her to open it. Desperate, Mia internally calls for Matthias and then shouts for Park, cursing him for not appearing to help her. As Mia hesitates before the door, the hooded man impatiently tells her to hurry up. Turning with a strained smile, Mia begins a new bluff, claiming the door requires a long, sacred ritual and absolute silence. After the men react angrily to being told to shut up, Mia shushes them and prepares to begin her ritual. Clasping her hands in prayer, Mia begins loudly singing a patriotic anthem, desperately hoping for a rescue before she finishes the song. As she continues her song in frustration, the locked door behind her begins to glow and click open. Stunned, Mia looks back, wondering in disbelief if her ridiculous plan actually worked. The hooded leader scoffs, revealing he's not a fool and already knew that entering the room would result in death. Realizing Matthias's warning was not a threat, Mia listens as the man calls her an oblivious fool and notes that a certain being seems to be gone. Confused, Mia asks what disappeared, and one of the men reveals they are talking about the master of the mansion. As Mia processes this, she immediately thinks of Lord Matthias, whose image flashes in her mind. The man explains that her shady newspaper ad for servants led them to believe the master had disappeared. Overwhelmed with regret, Mia clutches her face, realizing her desire for an easy life has backfired horribly. The hooded man presses his knife to her again, ordering her to retrieve the Philosopher's Stone, a name that leaves Mia completely baffled. He explains it's the legendary stone that granted the mansion's master his immortality. A vision reveals the mansion glowing with immense power, which the master used to control the entire estate. Mia has a horrified epiphany, realizing Matthias wasn't just an obsessive cleaning ghost, as a horde of his chibi selves critique her. The intruder impatiently orders her into the deadly room, but Mia protests, reminding him that he himself said it meant death. Thrown off balance, Mia screams as she stumbles and falls into the darkness. Landing inside, she looks around in confusion, noting that it feels surprisingly normal for a place that's supposed to kill her. Suddenly, a bone-chilling cold envelops her, causing her to shiver uncontrollably as her breath turns to frost. Overcome by the deadly cold, she collapses, desperately crying for someone to save her as her strength fails. As she loses consciousness, Mia tearfully whispers a final plea to her grandpa. A brilliant flash of golden light erupts from her chest, illuminating the darkness. Coming to, Mia looks down to find a necklace she doesn't recognize, glowing warmly around her neck. With tears welling in her green eyes, she once again thinks of her grandpa. Believing she was saved, her attention is drawn to a glowing portrait of a woman with shining eyes. Looking up in confusion, Mia wonders aloud what just glowed. She slowly approaches the portrait, convinced it was the source of the mysterious light. A beautiful portrait of a woman with long, dark hair and green eyes hangs on the wall, making Mia wonder. Her curiosity about the portrait intensifies. Alone in a dark room, Mia looks around and asks herself whose portrait it could be. Examining the signature, she deciphers the name and title, Holy Saint of Peace. Rilke? She realizes Rilke is the same name as the rose Mr. Matthias cherishes. Pondering why a portrait would be in a chapel, she wonders if Rilke was Mr. Matthias's lover before he became a spirit. Turning, she notices another framed portrait lying on the floor. She realizes there are multiple portraits discarded on the ground. Discovering more portraits of different people, she questions if they are all portraits. With a look of dawning comprehension, she guesses they must be past estate managers, and this is a place to honor them. She notes a man's uniform in one portrait resembles Mr. Matthias's, but a harsh voice suddenly yells, demanding to know if she's even looking. In a flashback, a hooded man with a scar impatiently tells a weary Mia to hurry up and find an unknown object. The man gives her a 10-minute deadline, and Mia internally fumes, thinking he's a coward for not searching himself. In a playful chibi fantasy, she taunts the man to come find it himself, enraging him as he thinks she has a death wish. She continues to mock the unseen man, calling him a petty little coward for being too scared to enter. The furious man lunges forward to attack her, but is suddenly restrained by two cloaked figures from behind. Mia smiles coolly, revealing her trump card as she asks, "Who said I was alone?" The hooded man shouts in disbelief, shocked by the sudden turn of events. An explosion of magical energy erupts as her allies, one with white hair, subdue the intruder. Mr. Dante calmly appears, chiding them for not wiping their shoes, as Mia frantically clarifies that they aren't guests. A different intruder with glasses and a scar holds a small, terrified creature hostage with a gun, boasting that those who see his footprints disappear. Aiming his glowing gun at Dante's fallen ally, the man declares that with two of them, the situation has changed. He threatens to kill his hostage, and Mia watches in horror. A bright flash erupts as the gunman is shot, his body recoiling from the impact. The intruder's gun is sent flying through the air before being expertly caught by a gloved hand. Mr. Dante now holds the gun, standing over the defeated intruder. The red-haired man, lying on the floor, demands to know who Dante is, admitting he wasn't told about security. Pointing the gun at the intruder's head, Mr. Dante calmly introduces himself as the housekeeper. A gunshot rings out as Mia screams for Dante to stop. She winces and closes her eyes, a single tear escaping. Opening her eyes, she is stunned to see Mr. Dante standing calmly over the two unconscious intruders. She fearfully asks if he killed the man. Mr. Dante cryptically replies, "Unfortunately," leaving Mia to wonder at his meaning. He cheerfully clarifies that the man is alive, explaining with a smile that he can't dispose of him since tomorrow is recycling day. Leaning against the doorframe for support, Mia weakly remarks that his reasoning is very eco-friendly. As her legs give out, Mr. Dante swiftly catches her. He asks if she's all right, and she shakily reassures him. Observing her closely, he states that she seems quite injured, though she denies it. He points out that her knee is bleeding, much to her surprise. The delayed pain hits her, and she cries out, wondering when she could have possibly gotten hurt. He notes the wound is quite large for her to have noticed it so late, and she laughs nervously, admitting she was distracted. Mr. Dante tells her she should have called him before she got hurt, and she hesitates to explain why she didn't. She begins to explain that the mansion has a powerful bound spirit named Matthias, who is master of the estate. Laughing, she admits she was holding out in the hopes that the powerful spirit would appear to help her. Looking down at her injury, she concedes it was the wrong choice, as Mr. Dante listens intently. Adjusting his glove with a determined look, Mr. Dante promises that next time, he won't be late. He then startles her by suddenly lifting her into his arms. While being carried down the hall, she panics internally, realizing this is a Princess Carrie. Her heart pounds in her chest as she silently pleads for someone to save her from the overwhelming moment. Flustered, Mia turns her face away and reluctantly agrees to let him help her. With a serious expression, Matthias confidently states that he has experience and tells her to leave it to him. As Matthias kneels to examine her injured knee, he firmly states he can treat it and questions if she doesn't trust him. Mia looks away bashfully, muttering that this kind of wound heals quickly on its own. Looking genuinely concerned, Matthias asks if he's making his master uncomfortable. A pleased Matthias smiles gently, promising to treat her thoroughly. As Matthias kneels before her and prepares an ointment, Mia internally curses, thinking it's unfair for him to use his good looks. While gently applying medicine, Matthias commends his master's bravery, noting she must have been very hurt. Touched by his concern, Mia smiles faintly and admits that she was indeed scared. A quiet, understanding moment passes between Matthias and Mia as they look at one another. In a flashback, Mia narrates that her mercenary father left her as a crying baby at her aunt's house. The flashback shows her seemingly kind aunt and uncle, and she explains their kindness was likely fueled by the money her father sent. Her aunt and uncle coldly walk away, leaving a small, lonely Mia standing alone in a vast, empty hallway. A painful memory shows her aunt getting annoyed and shoving her to the ground just for crying. With tear-filled but resolute eyes, a young Mia decides that from that day forward, she would stop crying. Back in the present, Mia explains with a gentle smile that because of her past, she rarely cries about anything anymore. Matthias looks at her with empathy, acknowledging that she must have had a very hard time. Beaming with happiness amidst a field of flowers, Mia joyfully realizes she now has someone who worries about her. After neatly bandaging her knee, Matthias announces the treatment is done and warns her not to overexert herself. The moment she stands up, a clumsy chibi Mia immediately loses her balance and starts to fall. Chuckling at her clumsiness, Matthias calls her hopeless and notes that she still seems to be in pain. A flustered Mia frantically protests that her leg is injured, not her hands, and insists she can change by herself. Matthias gives a knowing smile, calmly agreeing to her request. Alone now, Mia sits on her bed with a worried and thoughtful expression. Mia recalls that her father had an unusually fast healing ability, recovering quickly even from a fall from the second floor. Smiling, she decides to keep the bandage on out of courtesy, since Dante worked so hard to treat her. With a determined look, Mia clenches her fist, vowing that her first order of business is to deal with Mr. Park. Bam! Mia throws open the doors, calling out for Mr. Matthias and cursing the cowardly earthbound spirit, Mr. Park. She desperately searches under a gilded table, demanding the ghost come out and face her. Peeking through the bushes, she's startled to find Matthias, who confusedly asks, "Master." As she awkwardly emerges from the foliage, Matthias asks what she's doing, and she explains she was chasing the ghost. Matthias then asks where Dante is going, to which Mia replies that she's going to take out the trash. Confused, Mia points out that it isn't a designated trash day. Suddenly realizing his true intention, Mia excitedly asks if he's going after the chapel thieves and begs to come along. With a pleasant but unyielding smile, Matthias gives her an absolute no. Matthias tells her she must rest because of her leg, but Mia mutters that it has already healed. Pleading her case, Mia insists she should go since she was the first witness and can provide accurate testimony. When Matthias refuses again, Mia defiantly asks if she should just go by herself then. Relenting with a sigh, Matthias agrees, but makes her promise to tell him if the journey becomes too difficult. Overjoyed, Mia agrees before realizing there's something they need to do before heading to the authorities. They decide on a plan: civilian cosplay, with Matthias in a fedora and Mia in a humble headscarf. Their journey takes them to a grand, sunlit municipal building. In an office, Matthias demands the immediate arrest of the thieves, while the official at the desk seems wary of his intense gaze. The official confirms their location is the Garciel estate, which Mia affirms while standing beside Matthias. Ooh, the official sighs in frustration, lamenting that the Garciel estate is a notoriously difficult problem. Another official apologetically informs them that due to a lack of manpower, they must delay the arrest and ask them to hold the thieves for a few more days. Enraged, Matthias questions if they're telling him to house thieves, but Mia quickly tries to calm her master down. A man in a pinstripe vest introduces himself as Brigadier General Dante Van Dyke and threatens to report the other man to his superiors. The mustached man in the bowler hat looks on nervously. Holding up a shining silver medallion, Mr. Dante asserts that his authority is still valid even while on leave. The mustached man snaps to a salute, apologizing for not recognizing his commander and promising to handle the matter at once. He adds that his men are all dispatched until the evening, as Mia looks on, questioning Mr. Dante about his resume, claiming he was a former commander. Leaning in, Mr. Dante explains that his discharge was postponed and that the army has no intention of letting him go. Mia internally muses that, of course, they wouldn't lose such an exceptional talent, as a different man confirms the operation will begin in the evening. Mr. Dante respectfully asks, "Shall we go now, master?" While the mustached man looks on with tears in his eyes. Horrified, Mia internally screams about the outrageous housekeeper. She comically imagines them side by side, insisting their relationship is purely for employment and not suspicious at all. Mortified, she mentally scolds the incorrigible housekeeper, telling him people will misunderstand if he calls her that. Mr. Dante looks on with a calm, gentle expression amidst a background of flowers. With her eyes closed, Mia dismisses the thought and decides it's time to go home. Back at the mansion, two hooded men pound on a door, demanding it be opened, while another says there's no way out. The scarred intruder suggests the powerful figure must be the witch's servant, but his companion reminds him he said the witch business was nonsense. The white-haired man recalls Gunther's story of having his shoulder dislocated by a simple grab, as a sudden surge of dark energy frightens the intruders, who wonder if it's a ghost. A voice echoes through the darkness, angrily stating that vermin have dirtied his precious mansion, leaving an intruder wide-eyed in shock. Whoosh! The scarred intruder is struck by a slash of energy, crying out in shock and demanding to know who is there. A voice warns that they must have been prepared to risk their lives to enter the Garciel estate, as the intruder again demands to know who they are. The voice asks who they think he is, as an overwhelming chill covers the intruder's body. The intruder trembles, realizing from the sharp, otherworldly voice that it must be the master of the mansion. Stunned, he protests that the master supposedly vanished, as a dark-haired man with glowing eyes appears, asking who said he vanished. The scarred intruder lets out a terrified scream. He is suddenly trapped by crossed energy blades, crying for help as the voice commands him to be gone. His desperate plea to be spared echoes through the darkness. Riding on a bicycle through a sunlit forest, Mia asks Mr. Dante if he's ever heard of the Philosopher's Stone. Mr. Dante replies that it's said to grant the power of the gods, and rumor has it the stone lies within the Garciel estate. Mia asks in surprise if he knows that rumor too, and he confirms it's a well-known tale. She eyes him suspiciously, wondering if he became a housekeeper just to aim for the stone. Mr. Dante states he has no interest in it, explaining it's a bound relic that only the mansion's master can possess, as Mia wonders what that was. He muses that the thieves likely thought ownership went to whoever seized the stone first, as Mia scoffs at them for acting on mere rumors. She internally complains about the foolish people and the mansion's master, who is neither alive nor dead, and never shows his face. She fumes, wondering if he's ignoring her, and recalls him saying to save people since she's useless. Determined, she vows to see the face of the stingy Lord Park today, for sure. The mustache man salutes, informing his commander that he's brought as many men as possible. He nervously begs Mr. Dante not to report the incident to the higher-ups. With a sigh, Mr. Dante decides to wrap things up, informing them that the thieves are confined in the inner chapel of the basement. Mia silently watches the exchange from a distance. She smiles with a hint of bitterness, thinking that even though she's the master of the house, Mr. Dante is the one they follow. Suddenly, police officers burst in, led by a white-haired officer holding a lantern and a gun, ordering everyone to surrender. The young, purple-haired officer named Thomas screams in terror as someone asks what's happening. He reports that all the thieves appear to be dead, a discovery that shocks his superior. Mia is horrified by the news, wondering how they could be dead after being alive just yesterday. Trembling, she tentatively addresses Mr. Dante, asking if he's aware that murder is strictly forbidden in their house. Looking hurt, Mr. Dante asks if she suspects him of doing this. Mia panics internally, realizing that after seeing his power yesterday, she can't exactly say no. She stammers, trying to find the right words as they stand in a stone hallway. It's as a man's voice interrupts, calling for the inspector to look at something. The mustached man asks what it is, as the young purple-haired officer directs his attention to a corpse. He points out that there's something in the dead man's hand. A chibi girl complains about recapping dead bodies as a hand is shown holding glittering gemstones. Demanding answers from the official, the black-haired man asks why the bodies have stab wounds when he was only supposed to knock them out, questioning if he's being accused. The black-haired man coolly observes that none of the corpses appear to be the leader of the group. He calmly deduces that the leader likely killed the others and fled, as the official looks on nervously. With a sudden change in demeanor, the flustered official gives a thumbs up, praising the commander's remarkable and astute powers of deduction. The official happily explains, the men were wanted thieves, thanking the commander for finally helping catch them while holding up their wanted posters. Tipping his hat with a smile, the official thanks the commander for his service and prepares to depart. Now, alone with Mia, the man they called Commander stands before a large door as she remarks on the strange turn of events. Mia wonders how the ringleader escaped a locked room and then nervously asks if he dealt with the man, causing him to flee. With a downcast expression, he asks if she really believes he's the one who killed them after all. A flustered Mia quickly tries to backtrack, insisting that's not what she meant. He explains that he has spent many years on the battlefield. With a serious and unwavering gaze, he declares that outside of war, he does not take lives lightly. His firm declaration leaves Mia momentarily stunned and speechless. Mia apologizes to Mr. Dante, admitting she was too quick to judge, as he thinks to himself that he now understands how his master sees him. Looking down with regret, Mia admits she shouldn't have made such a hasty assumption and wasn't thinking clearly. Mia suddenly grabs Mr. Dante's arm to get his attention, calling his name. Mr. Dante looks down at her, his blue eyes meeting hers. Holding his hand, Mia sincerely apologizes for doubting him so carelessly, admitting she was holding onto a bias. Mr. Dante accepts her apology but states that this time, he was the one who was truly in the wrong. Startled by his admission, Mia asks if he's truly sorry, and he confirms that he is. As an apology, Dante requests that she grant him one wish, which he will reveal when the time is right. In a cute chibi moment, Mia presses him to tell her now, but he insists on saving his important wish for the right moment. Dante suggests they head back as it's getting late, but Mia feels a sense of foreboding about his mysterious wish. Seated in a grand chair in a new, regal uniform, Matthias coolly states, "I did it." Mia stares back, her eyes wide with shock and disbelief. Stuttering, Mia asks what he just said, and Matthias calmly asks if there's a problem. Mia furiously berates Matthias for his brutal actions and for making Dante the prime suspect, yelling that he vanishes when he's actually needed. Finding her noisy, Matthias flicks his finger, magically silencing a tiny, muffled Mia. As a gagged chibi, Mia struggles. Matthias offers to personally explain the situation to clear up her confusion. He reveals he couldn't let intruders escape alive, so he planted gemstones on the bodies to stage a fight among them. He adds that the escaped thief will spread word of his survival, deterring future unwanted guests, a point Mia grudgingly accepts. Still muffled, Mia sarcastically agrees that the grand, exalted one has arrived, while Matthias watches her impassively. Finally free to speak, Mia lets out a long sigh, admitting that his plan was truly impressive. A pink, heart-filled thought. Bubble gushes over how powerful and dashingly cool he is. Mia makes a heart gesture with her hands, but Matthias coldly tells her to remove the obnoxious sign, prompting her to wonder if a finger heart would have been better. When Mia tries to ask a question, Matthias immediately cuts her off, forbidding her from asking. Ignoring his command, she asks about the Philosopher's Stone, surprising him into asking where she heard of it. She explains the thieves mentioned it, claiming he uses its power to dominate the estate. Matthias falls silent, turning to gaze thoughtfully out the window. He turns back to a surprised Mia, announcing that some visitors will be arriving soon. Panicked, Mia grabs her head, yelling that he promised no more unwanted guests. As he begins to fade, Matthias clarifies he said visitors, not unwanted guests, leaving Mia to desperately demand a proper answer. Later, Dante scolds Mia for eating in bed, reminding her that someone else has to clean up her mess. With a sly look, Mia thinks to herself that food just tastes better when you're lying down. A sudden, violent tremor shakes the room, and a panicked Mia yells for Mr. Dante to take cover from the earthquake. After the brief shaking stops, Mia wonders why it was so short, while Dante stands calmly beside her. Ding dong. As the doorbell rings, Dante takes Mia's hand, telling her it wasn't an earthquake. Dante calmly states that someone has arrived, causing Mia to worry that it might be another thief. A chibi Dante logically points out that thieves don't ring the bell, and Mia concedes that he has a fair point. With his arms crossed, Dante stares ahead with a stern expression, stating that he can't see. Peeking from behind him, Mia looks utterly shocked by the sight before her, wondering what this is. Three mysterious figures arrive in the rain: a knight in full armor, a blonde man with glasses, and a small pink-haired boy who explains their tardiness. The pink-haired boy introduces himself to a confused Mia as Ezekiel. Pulling herself together, Mia introduces herself as Mia Fortuna and politely asks their reason for visiting. The knight in full armor holds out an envelope, explaining that all three of them are seeking employment based on a job posting. Mia eyes the trio suspiciously, especially the young boy, finding their sudden appearance very questionable. The knight formally presents their resume. Despite her deep suspicion about applicants arriving so late, Mia instantly makes a decision. They're hired. Matthias, now in his grand uniform, suddenly appears and confirms all three are hired, shocking Mia, while the newcomers realize he is the true master. In his official capacity, Matthias formally grants the new applicants permission to stay in the house. Mia frantically objects, loudly reminding everyone that she is the rightful owner of the house. Matthias dismisses her protest, telling the newcomers to choose any room they like, as the delighted group sweeps a protesting Mia away with them. The next morning, Mia reflects on her situation, lamenting that a new, even greater ordeal has arrived. The young boy Ezekiel is revealed to be the archmage and head of the mage tower, an expert on the 5 elements. The blonde man is identified as Eluard, a member of the Republic's 7 Committee and rumored to be a demon general of hell, making him deeply unsettling. A frantic chibi Mia trembles, realizing she's now dealing with people far more troublesome than Dante. Dante, wearing an apron and carrying a tea set, greets his master, who tiredly returns the sentiment. Dante notes how exhausted she looks, and Mia confirms that she has every reason to be. When Mia asks what the new servants are doing, Dante replies that they've already scattered to begin tasks of their own choosing. She leaps to her feet in a panic, shouting that they shouldn't be working yet and that she must find Mr. Matthias immediately. Dante stops her, informing her that the master of the estate left a message for her. He explains their contracts are already finalized, causing Mia to erupt in frustration over how quickly Matthias handles such matters. Dante continues with the message, reminding her not to forget about the chandelier if she dismisses them, sparking a confusing memory for Mia. Grasping her head, Mia wails in despair, realizing she's ruined and can't fire them now. As he pours her tea, Dante asks if she truly wishes to dismiss them, and she reluctantly supposes so. To Mia's confusion, Dante expresses his relief at her decision. Mia nervously clutches the signed contracts to her chest. Dante admits he was secretly hurt by her wanting to fire him, but is reassured knowing the master hired the new staff. Overjoyed and touched by his loyalty, Mia praises him as the absolute best when it comes to cleaning. Tasking Dante with the cleaning, Mia dashes off to check on the new servants, leaving him to comment on her abandoned tea. Stepping outside, Mia is stunned into silence by an unbelievable sight. The once neglected courtyard has been transformed into a pristine garden with a sparkling fountain in less than a day. She walks in a daze through the beautifully manicured grounds. The knight in armor greets her as master, and she addresses him as Killian. Mia wonders aloud if a swordmaster's skills extend to gardening, prompting Killian to ask if she is displeased with his work. She quickly reassures him that she loves it and was just amazed by his speed. Curious, she asks why a swordmaster of his caliber would choose to come to her home. Killian pauses thoughtfully before answering her question. He explains he believed that anyone who would hire Brigadier Dante would also accept him without prejudice, leaving Mia puzzled. He confirms he knows Dante from a joint military operation between the Swordmaster and a Special Forces commander, a mission few were expected to survive. Changing the subject, Mia suggests he doesn't need to wear his armor inside the house. Killian explains the armor is a powerful artifact, suppressing his abilities, and that removing it would be dangerous. Mia understands, recalling that gifted individuals can suffer severe side effects from overusing their powers. Filled with pity, she wonders if the Empire exploited him, and gently asks if he's still in pain. Killian reassures her that he isn't in pain, and now feels more at peace than ever before. Relieved for him, Mia still thinks to herself that constantly wearing armor must be suffocating. Her imagination runs wild with a funny image of him showering in his full suit of armor. Flustered, Mia quickly wishes him luck with the garden and beats a hasty retreat back inside. As a voice calls out for Master, Mia internally questions how the good-natured Killian could have possibly led a coup. A smiling, long-haired blonde man in a vest and glasses politely holds up an envelope with a red wax seal. Imagining him with red devil horns, Mia considers it a strange achievement to have a demon serving as her butler. A narration explains that Eluard allegedly serves as a plague doctor who spreads and cures plagues in exchange for souls. She internally wonders about his true motives for working as a butler, unable to fathom his thoughts. Snapped out of her thoughts by his call, Mia acknowledges that a letter has arrived. Surprised to learn they have an ivy-covered mailbox, Mia is told the letter inside is from 100 years ago. Holding the ancient letter, she wonders how it went unnoticed for a century, and what its unfamiliar script could possibly say. As she considers asking Matthias for help, Eluard interrupts, warning that her low spending habits will result in enormous taxes. Stunned by the mention of taxes, Mia listens as Eluard confirms she will owe a significant amount if things continue. Gak, a terrified chibi Mia, sees the astronomical tax bill and her eyes pop out in shock. Panicked, Mia asks if there's any way to reduce the amount, and Eluard coyly suggests there might be. With a sly grin, Eluard offers a few options, prompting a desperate Mia to demand what they are. He suggests donating to the church or the illegal act of submitting double ledgers, which makes Mia think he's a true demon. For his final option, Eluard winks and gestures for a hesitant Mia to come closer. He gently takes her hand as a floral background appears around them. He continues to hold her hand, pulling her closer in a romantic gesture. Now holding her in a dance pose, Eluard smiles down at a surprised Mia amidst a swirl of flowers. He gently takes her hand, initiating a surprisingly intimate moment. Up close, he smiles charmingly, while a bewildered and blushing Mia looks back at him. Utterly lost and confused by the sudden turn of events, Mia shouts that she doesn't know what's happening. Leaning in with a sly expression, Eluard reveals the third solution. She must get married. He explains that, due to a population decline after the war, marriage offers significant tax breaks, especially with joint ownership of the mansion. A blushing Mia hesitates, considering the unexpected proposal. Looking away, she admits that she doesn't have anyone to marry. Eluard smiles warmly and presents himself as a candidate, saying, "I'm right here." In disbelief, Mia asks if he means she should marry him, and he confidently guarantees her spousal support and a comfortable retirement. While she admits the idea of marrying a handsome man who offers a secure retirement is tempting, she has one major reservation. Firmly, Mia declares that she absolutely does not want to marry a demon. Eluard tells her she's overlooking a key detail about him being a demon. As he takes a step forward, he suddenly appears behind her, placing his hands on her shoulders and whispering that she should feel utterly pleased. Winking at a blushing Mia, he confirms his intentions with a confident, "Of course." Blushing furiously, Mia stammers as he continues to hold her hair gently. Panicked, she thinks to herself what a seductive demon he is, admitting she almost fell for his charm completely. Shaking off his advances, a flustered Mia rejects his marriage proposal and asks if there are any other ways to solve her tax problem. Citing an appointment at the government office, Eluard begins to vanish, leaving Mia to frantically yell after the demon about the tax break. Alone again, Mia complains that non-humans have no manners before her stomach rumbles, reminding her that she's hungry. Imagining Ezekiel as a handsome chef, Mia remembers he applied for the cook position and decides to go check on his skills. Mia cheerfully enters the room, waving and asking the kiddo how the lunch preparations are going. The pink-haired boy turns with a stern look, insisting he is not a kiddo and that she should call him Ezekiel. Annoyed, Mia points out that he's small and looks younger than her, questioning his informal speech. Ezekiel retorts that she is also speaking informally, leaving Mia with no comeback. Deciding to be the bigger person, Mia internally dismisses him as a brat, but Ezekiel immediately calls her out for having a rude thought. Ezekiel stands with his arms crossed, looking thoroughly unimpressed with her. Suddenly, Mia recalls Killian's words and wonders in shock if he really just called Mr. Dante a brigadier general. Putting her thoughts together, Mia asks Ezekiel if he and Mr. Dante know each other. Ezekiel confirms they met often in the field, which Mia correctly interprets as the battlefield. Horrified by an image of the young boy on a war-torn battlefield, Mia thinks the Empire is insane and now understands his motivation for a coup. As Ezekiel wonders why she's suddenly so quiet, Mia is filled with pity for the young boy. Remembering his role, Mia cheerfully invites Ezekiel to the market, giving him the nickname Izzy. Ezekiel questions the sudden nickname, but Mia ignores him and says she'll wait outside, leaving him speechless. Sigh. A close-up shows Ezekiel's resigned and slightly annoyed expression. Outside, Mia excitedly calls Izzy over to a bicycle, suggesting it will be a quick way to get to town. Suddenly, a massive, muscular red dragon appears behind them, towering over the bicycle. Mia freezes in place, completely stunned by the sudden appearance of the huge beast. Her face contorts in pure terror as she screams, "A monster?" Panicking, Mia urges Ezekiel to get on the bike so they can run, but he calmly tells her it's just Horntail, the dragon they rode yesterday. The word dragon echoes in her mind as Mia recalls riding the bike in front of the beast, finally making the connection. She realizes with a jolt that the dragon's arrival must have been the cause of the loud earthquake from the day before. Ezekiel introduces the dragon, whose name is Toto, as a welcome gift, leaving Mia utterly baffled. Looking overwhelmed, Mia stammers that a living animal is far too extravagant for a gift. Ezekiel ominously suggests that if she doesn't want it, he'll just have to use the dragon as a cooking ingredient, summoning a blue aura in his hand as Mia shrinks in fear. He adds that his decision would sadden Killian, who rescued the dragon from an illegal fighting ring. Bidding the dragon farewell, Ezekiel turns away as Toto lets out a pathetic whimper, a single tear rolling down its cheek. Stop. Mia throws her hand out and yells that she'll raise it, completely caving to the emotional blackmail. Now standing beside the giant dragon, Mia admits to herself that, up close, Toto is actually kind of cute. Her enthusiasm quickly turns to worry as she realizes their yard is far too small for such a large creature. Ezekiel agrees that the dragon is too big and casually snaps his fingers. Pop! In a shower of flowers and sparkles, the enormous dragon shrinks down to a tiny, adorable version of itself. Giggling, Mia pets the now tiny dragon, but Ezekiel impatiently reminds her about their trip to the market. The scene transitions to a bustling, lively market street, filled with townspeople going about their day. While enjoying pastries, Mia excitedly points out another food stall, but Ezekiel asks when they will actually buy ingredients. She replies they need to survey the market first. She turns to him, explaining her plan is to have him cook everything for her. Their conversation is interrupted by the appearance of a smirking, red-haired man in a stylish suit. Mia's playful expression vanishes as she recognizes his voice, a look of dread washing over her. The red-haired man stands confidently, his smug grin fixed on Mia. Making a quick excuse about an emergency, Mia tries to leave, but Ezekiel is confused by her sudden change in behavior. As she tries to pull Ezekiel away, a hand firmly grabs her wrist, and the man calls her by her full name, Mia Fortuna. A swoosh accompanies her shocked gasp as she's pulled to a stop. The red-haired man leans in, his confident, freckled smile radiating condescension. Addressing her as Georgie Murray, he mockingly asks if she isn't happy to see her cousin, calling her reaction disappointing. Mia glares back, thinking there's no way she'd be glad to see someone who is a nightmare from her terrible childhood. A flashback begins, showing a 6-year-old Georgie Murray demanding thanks from a 5-year-old Ermengarde Murray for giving her bread. In the past, a small, disheveled Mia sits silently on the floor, clutching a piece of bread. Young Georgie looms over her, threatening to take the bread away to teach gratitude, causing Mia to flinch in fear. A wave of terror washes over young Mia as she looks up at her tormentor. Clutching the bread, she recalls how her adult memories were useless when trapped in a helpless child's body. Her desperate meal is interrupted when a woman shouts her name, Mia Fortuna. Looking up in fear, young Mia is confronted by the woman, who accuses her of stealing. Her aunt, Gertrude Murray, furiously declares that her daughter Ermengarde's new brooch has gone missing. A terrified Mia denies the accusation, but her aunt aggressively questions who else could have stolen it. While Mia pleads her innocence, her young cousin Ermengarde appears in the doorway. Ermengarde smiles with malicious glee, revealing the missing brooch in her hand. Young Mia stares in horrified silence, realizing she's been framed. The accusation of thief shatters her world as the narration explains how her aunt's family constantly bullied and tormented her. The flashback continues to a later time, where slightly older Mia, now in a servant's apron, is told she's being sent to the factory. Her aunt Gertrude sits calmly, informing Mia that since her father has stopped sending money, she must now earn her own living expenses. Gertrude cruelly adds that because Mia has no talent for housework, she has no choice but to work in the factory. A young Mia timidly protests as her aunt threatens her with no dinner unless she goes to the factory. The scene shifts to an older Mia shivering on a snowy street, narrating her gratitude for her hard work. Standing alone as snow falls, Mia looks off into the distance, lost in thought. A young boy in a plaid cap approaches her, explaining he found a discarded letter in front of her house. Her eyes widen in shock as the boy reads the name on the envelope. To Mia Fortuna. Mia frantically grabs the boy's coat, desperately asking who sent the letter and what it says. The boy looks at the letter and hesitates to answer. Mia narrates that the letter was from her grandfather, who, unable to reach her, kept sending letters in hope. She explains that she had the child write a reply detailing her situation, which led to her grandfather winning a custody lawsuit. A joyful memory shows a younger Mia happily embracing her smiling, gray-haired grandfather, In the present, a somber Mia stands at a grave, holding a photo of her grandfather and apologizing. Her aunt Gertrude appears, asking if Mia remembers living at their house when she was little. Mia coldly asks why she's here, and Gertrude mockingly feigns innocence, asking if she isn't allowed. Gertrude gives a fake compliment about Mia growing into a wonderful lady, but Mia remains silent and stoic. Her aunt offers her a great opportunity to marry a rich landowner with a title, leaving Mia stunned. Gertrude smirks, offering to manage Mia's inheritance for her in exchange. Furious, Mia tells her aunt to shut up and take the offer herself, shocking the older woman. As Gertrude demands to know what she just said, Mia turns her back and walks away. Her aunt screams after her, but Mia ignores her, narrating that she fled to the capital to escape them. Returning to the market confrontation, Mia tells Georgie to let go, declaring she never wanted to see them again. Georgie mockingly asks if she's not happy to see the brother who played with her, but Mia scoffs at the word. With a smug shrug, Georgie insists that she enjoyed his torment. Mia furiously recounts his games, pushing her downstairs, putting thumbtacks in her shoes, a dead mouse in her mouth, and throwing her into a frozen lake. Demanding to know which he enjoyed most, Georgie dismissively calls it all childhood pranks and labels her narrow-minded, further enraging her. Ezekiel steps in, calling Georgie crazy and threatening to half-kill him as a joke. Pow, as Georgie speculates about her being a young master's caretaker, a powerful punch sends him flying. Ah! Georgie is thrown backward, his face contorted in pain from the sudden blow. Mr. Dante stands elegantly amidst a shower of rose petals, asking his master if his actions were acceptable. A quick flashback shows Mr. Dante walking down the street just a few minutes prior. He smiles, holding a box of cake and hoping his master will be pleased with the treat. He arrived just in time to see Mia and Ezekiel confronting Georgie, identifying his master. Annoyed, Mia thinks to herself, what's with this brat? A close-up on Mr. Dante's cold, intense gaze reveals his anger at Georgie's insult toward Mia. Mr. Dante calmly explains to his master that he struck the man because it seemed appropriate. A stunned Mia gasps his name in disbelief, Mr. Dante. Thump! With Georgie collapsed on the ground behind him, Dante explains he was buying cake and asks who was spouting such garbage. Dazed on the ground, Georgie weakly asks who his attacker is. Mr. Dante condescendingly implies their relationship is now one of violence, as an annoyed Mia thinks he wasn't hit hard enough. He politely asks his master to hold the cake for a moment. Mr. Dante grabs a sputtering Georgie by the collar, cutting him off mid-sentence. As Georgie's cries of protest fade, Mia watches with a blank expression, thinking Dante is beating him to a pulp. A bruised Georgie threatens to report Dante to the police, boasting about being a future imperial knight, but Dante grabs his face. Terrified, Georgie looks up at Mia, stammering. He bows his head in defeat and mumbles an apology. Mia smiles condescendingly, remarking that she's surprised he even knows the meaning of those words. She flicks Georgie on the forehead, asking him how it feels to be on the receiving end of torment for once. Outraged, Georgie shouts at her for daring to touch him. Gasp! Mr. Dante suddenly appears behind a terrified Georgie, coolly asking if his lesson was insufficient, causing Georgie to panic. A beaten Georgie offers a half-hearted apology to Mia for his past bullying, struggling to recall all his transgressions. Eek, Mr. Dante shoves Georgie's head down as the red-haired man protests that he's apologized enough. Wah. In a simplified drawing, Georgie is forced to kneel and cry, while Mia thinks to herself in silence. PFFT. Mia stifles a laugh, amused that her tough cousin Georgie would let out a pathetic eek. Mr. Dante smiles warmly at Ezekiel, suggesting it's time for them to leave. With a cheerful, shall we? Mia playfully kicks the kneeling Georgie and declares, "You're out." As Georgie seethes with rage, a disembodied head of Mr. Dante cheerfully mentions strawberry cake, taunting him. Georgie vows revenge against the two of them, but Ezekiel calmly calls him a lost cause. Click! With a snap of his fingers, a shocked Ezekiel exclaims he's seen plenty of scum like Georgie. Ooh-wah! Ezekiel sends Georgie flying, declaring that people like him never change no matter how much you beat them. Whoosh! Georgie is launched into the sky as Ezekiel issues a final warning to never show his face again. With the confrontation seemingly over, Mia points at something in the distance while standing beside Mr. Dante. A huge geyser of water suddenly erupts from a nearby fountain, shocking Mia as she wonders what's happening. A soaking wet Georgie emerges from the fountain, coughing and demanding to know what the crazy little brat did to him. Covering her mouth, Mia expresses mock concern, muttering, "My goodness," followed by a cough. As Georgie continues to sputter in the fountain, Mia, Mr. Dante, and Ezekiel watch the pitiful scene. Surrounded by a floral aura, a beaming Mia sincerely thanks both Mr. Dante and Ezekiel for their help. Ezekiel looks on with a calm and stoic expression. Mr. Dante places a hand over his heart, modestly replying that he was simply doing his duty. Mia smiles warmly, her bright green eyes filled with gratitude. As Ezekiel and Mr. Dante discuss the day's hunt, Mia reflects that thanks to Mr. Dante and she could finally face Georgie without fear. Recalling the young boy who read her grandfather's letter, Mia narrates that her current happiness was built on a similar act of kindness. Her grandfather's hands hold a precious necklace, as Mia's narration concludes that her life is a collection of small kindnesses. Walking together at dusk, the trio discusses dinner and having cake for dessert, with Mia's narration calling the day another kindness. Feeling full after their meal, Mia stands outside the mansion, admitting to herself that Iz's cooking was awful for a volunteer chef. In a fiery flashback, a red-haired Iz cooks chaotically, shouting that cooking is about feeling, while Mia begs him to use his magic properly. She reflects that while she was tricked by his confidence, she'll give him another chance since he promised to practice. Holding an unread letter, Mia realizes with a start that she'll have to find someone to read it to her. She spots a man in a formal white uniform, exclaiming that it's Mr. Matthias and his timing is perfect. Mia excitedly runs toward Mr. Matthias, waving the letter and calling out to ask for a favor. With a deadpan expression, Mr. Matthias flatly tells her no. She stops in her tracks, protesting that she hasn't even told him what the favor is yet. He sternly deduces she wants him to read the letter, scolding her for daring to ask him to perform such a task. In a cute doodle, a dejected Mia asks if she can't, and Matthias bluntly confirms that she may not. Noting his firm refusal, Mia thinks she can't let this hard-to-find ghost get away so easily. Changing her approach, she asks if he can answer a different question for her instead. Matthias listens with a severe expression as Mia brings up the philosopher's stone they discussed before. Holding her letter, Mia continues her question with a hopeful look. She directly asks Matthias if the philosopher's stone is currently in his possession. Mia passionately argues that, as the mansion's caretaker, she has a right to know about such an important item. Matthias stares back at her in complete silence, offering no response. The philosopher's stone isn't owned, but inherited, and can only be used by the chosen one. Realizing the implication, Mia asks if this means he doesn't know where the stone is either. Matthias remains silent, his stoic expression giving nothing away. Announcing he's wasted enough time, Matthias turns to leave as Mia protests, telling him not to walk away mid-conversation. As he vanishes toward the mansion, she yells after him to give her a proper answer. Annoyed, Mia stands inside, wondering if he has money and complaining that he always does as he pleases. Spotting Mr. Dante meticulously washing dishes, she decides he's the perfect person to ask to read her letter. Mia cheerfully offers to help with the dishes, surprising Mr. Dante. Mr. Dante smiles gently, politely declining her help and insisting he can handle it himself. With a bright smile, Mia cheerfully insists Mr. Dante join her in washing the clattering dishes. He gently suggests his master should rest, but she just looks up at him with a happy, questioning hum. Mr. Dante's expression turns serious as he gazes down at her. His serious look softens into a warm, gentle smile. They stand together at the kitchen sink, a quiet and domestic moment settling between them. While Mr. Dante dries a plate, Mia lifts a teacup and points out a letter inside, written in an unfamiliar language, asking if he can read it. In a chibi-style moment, Mr. Dante freezes, staring intensely at the cup he's polishing. He takes the teacup from her, examining the strange writing with a focused frown. Mia watches him, thinking his thoroughness is considerate, but wondering if he mistrusts her, though he quickly assures her that's not it at all. Later, over tea, Mr. Dante explains the writing is an old noble cipher, prompting Mia to eagerly ask what it says. Holding the letter, Mr. Dante reads that the author is the second-generation caretaker of the estate. A flashback reveals a gray-haired man reading the letter, which explains its purpose is to convey the caretaker's mission. A beautiful spray of ivy and roses marks a transition in the story. The letter reveals the name of the first caretaker, Rilke Teresa de Piazza, accompanied by an elegant portrait of a woman who looks like Mia. The letter's author writes that Mia, the third-generation caretaker, will one day understand this mission. Mia's attention is drawn to a small, golden four-leaf clover on the table. Mr. Dante explains the clover is the token of the letter's author, and a postscript urges them to treasure it. Holding the golden token, Mia muses aloud about its significance as a caretaker symbol. She dismisses the letter as a simple handover note, but Mr. Dante adds, it also asks them to remember the first caretaker. Mia realizes with a start that the beautiful portrait in the underground chapel must have been the first caretaker, Rilke. Taking a sip of his tea, Mr. Dante listens, as Mia asks if he knows anything about Rilke. He reveals that Rilke was royalty but is remembered in history as a cruel villain who tortured countless people to death, her family name becoming synonymous with a man-eating bird. Confused, Mia recalls the portrait's title was Seed of Peace, which made her believe Rilke was a saint. Mr. Dante confirms Rilke was once seen as a divine messenger, but the story claims she made a pact with a demon, a tale punctuated by the image of a shattering stained glass window. Mia questions if the dark rumors are true, but Mr. Dante wisely notes that history is easily distorted over time. He compares it to the rumors of her being a witch commanding a black demon, shocking Mia before he cheekily admits that the demon would be him. With a weary sigh, Mia facepalms, concluding that the historical records about Rilke are likely false as well. Mr. Dante explains that no records of Rilke's descendants exist, as the royal family had them all executed, wiping out the entire bloodline completely. A vision of a lonely woman in a white dress, resembling Mia, appears before the grand mansion. The scene drifts down into a lush garden filled with blooming pink roses. Mr. Dante gently asks Mia if she was very lonely, to which she replies that she's fine now. She smiles brightly, holding her empty teacup and declaring she is happy now that she has him with her. Mia offers him a gentle, questioning smile. Surrounded by a bloom of roses, a blushing Mr. Dante admits that her words truly make him happy. He looks at her with sincere warmth and vows to stay by her side for her entire life so she'll never be lonely again. Mia absently agrees to his lifelong promise while looking at her teacup. Her eyes suddenly widen as the full weight of his words finally sinks in. Internally panicking, she realizes his promise to stay with her for life sounds an awful lot like a marriage proposal. Her heart pounds as she frantically wonders why Dante would suddenly propose. She thinks there were no signs at all, completely missing his serene smile. Flustered, she decides she must ask him what he meant by his declaration. Springing to her feet in shock, she accidentally knocks her teacup off the table. As she stammers that she'll clean it up, Mr. Dante calmly reaches for the mess, insisting he will take care of it. Mia laughs nervously, glad she finished her tea, while Mr. Dante thinks to himself that he truly should remain by his master's side. Blushing furiously, Mia misinterprets his thoughts as a sudden, heartfelt confession of love. Mr. Dante clarifies with a smile that he means he must take care of all tasks, from small ones like clearing the table to bigger ones beyond her reach. Mia stares at him, her expression shifting from romantic panic to stunned realization. It dawns on her that he's just worried about her inability to do housework, concluding she's the only person who would hire a commander as a maid. Mortified by her huge misunderstanding, she blushes in utter embarrassment. When he calls for her, she enthusiastically reassures him, promising to keep leaving all the housework to him. Flustered, Mia quickly makes an excuse about an urgent matter and announces she's heading upstairs. She leans against the wall, looking emotionally drained by the encounter. She thinks to herself that while she once wanted to avoid him, she no longer knows what she feels. A close-up on her determined green eye reveals a newfound resolve. Standing in a grand hallway, she considers what might happen next. The scene shifts to an exterior view of a warmly lit room at night. A knight in full armor asks a pink-haired boy for his opinion after observing them, and the boy asks the same in return. The pink-haired boy tells the knight he doesn't believe they're bad, especially since Toto, a creature he seems to know, follows them. He crosses his arms, sternly reminding the knight that a horntail only follows those who are stronger than them. The knight agrees, but tells the boy, Killian, to snap out of it, explaining that they are sought out by something, rather than being the cause themselves. A swirling purple vision shows a woman's face in anguish, describing a disaster that arrives without anyone realizing it. The chaotic vision continues, illustrating a force that slowly approaches and devours everything in its path. Killian warns the knight not to be deceived by their appearance, and to watch carefully for any signs. The knight clenches his gauntlet in silent, firm agreement. In a bright, sunny garden, Killian calls out to a dragon named Park Toto. Mia frantically tries to stop a small red dragon from eating the cabbages in her garden. She complains that she worked hard for her crops as the knight and Killian watch from a distance. Holding up the misbehaving dragon, Mia insists that its cute peep won't save it from her wrath. As she threatens the dragon, Killian prepares to intervene, his hands glowing with blue magic. Mia gives the little dragon a light flick on the head to punish the little rascal. Toto tears up in shock, wondering how she could hit him when his dad Killian never did, though a note clarifies it didn't actually hurt. As the dragon flies off in a huff, Mia warns that next time it will be worse. While Killian watches, his magic's still active. The knight calmly places a hand on Killian's arm, telling him to stand down. He reminds Killian not to let his own guard down, prompting the boy to dismiss his magic. Mia storms over to the knight, angrily demanding to know what he'll do now that his dragon has eaten all her crops. The knight bows his head in apology, admitting to his master that he should have been more careful. Mia declares the owner must take responsibility, leaving the knight to confusedly ask what she means. In a chibi daydream, she orders him to regrow all the eaten crops by tomorrow, a demand he insists is impossible. She smiles, revealing she was kidding, and simply asks him to buy and plant new seedlings. Visibly moved, the knight blushes inside his helmet, while Killian sighs that the knight is letting his guard down again. The knight continues to bask in his master's kindness, as Mia laughs at his reaction. Mr. Dante suddenly appears, asking his master if someone used magic nearby, as he sensed its presence. Mia quickly denies it, suggesting he was mistaken, as the knight and Killian stand behind her. Mr. Dante eyes Killian with suspicion, who returns the silent gaze. Mr. Dante asks Killian if something is wrong, but the boy quickly dismisses the question. Changing the subject with a pleasant smile, Mr. Dante informs Mia that a guest has come to see her. Mia looks puzzled, wondering who would possibly visit her here. Mr. Dante reveals that an older couple, claiming to be her aunt and uncle, has arrived. The news hits Mia with the force of a physical blow, leaving her stunned. She clenches her fist, angrily wondering if someone named Georgie told them about a past incident. Mr. Dante silently observes her distress. Noticing her unease, he offers to send the unwelcome guests away. With renewed determination, Mia decides she must meet them herself to ensure they never return, a decision Mr. Dante accepts. Despite her brave words, she privately admits she isn't confident she can face them alone. She looks down in thought, her anxiety palpable as Mr. Dante stands by. Mr. Dante gazes down at her, his expression filled with gentle understanding. He takes her hand reassuringly in both of his. As he holds her hand, she notices that his are trembling. Mia looks at him with concern, realizing he is just as anxious as she is. Killian, the pink-haired boy, looks on with a silent, serious expression. Outside the mansion gates, unseen visitors marvel at the house's size, wondering if Mia is a mistress, as Georgie suggested. A red-haired woman in purple tells her balding male companion they must take Mia with them, while he reminds her she's the one who caused a scene at the funeral. Standing beside Mr. Dante, Mia confronts the unwelcome couple at the gate, asking what brings them here. The red-haired woman puts on a pleasant face, asking her niece Mia how she has been. Unmoved by the fake pleasantries, Mia coldly repeats her question. The woman explains that they learned Mia was in the capital from Georgie, and that they need to talk inside. With a sudden, forced smile, Mia waves brightly at her relatives. Her aunt feigns being deeply hurt, asking how Mia could treat them like strangers. She continues her guilt trip, complaining about how hard it was to raise Mia while struggling, causing Mia visible distress. In a menacing close-up, the aunt demands to know if Mia feels any pity for her. As Mia trembles, Mr. Dante puts a comforting hand on her shoulder, while her aunt claims they are family. Mia mutters in disgust that they are not her family, as Mr. Dante's eyes narrow with determination. As the woman begins to speak again, an unseen hand gestures for her to stop. Mr. Dante steps in front of Mia, warning them not to approach his master, shocking the woman with his rudeness. The aunt scoffs at his apron, dismissively calling him a mere servant. Surrounded by a floral aura, Mr. Dante calmly confirms that he is indeed a servant dedicated to his master. The aunt and uncle stare in utter disbelief, shouting in shock. Panicking internally, Mia wishes he'd been more specific, frantically thinking that he's a live-in housekeeper. The aunt eyes them suspiciously, questioning the nature of their relationship. Mia firmly shuts her down, stating she has no obligation to answer such questions. When her aunt demands she watch her mouth, Mia snaps back, rejecting their claim of family and declaring her late grandfather was her only one. Turning her back on them, Mia declares that they will not be seeing each other again. The furious aunt grabs Mia's arm, shouting her name to stop her from leaving. The aunt reveals their true motive. A powerful and honorable count wants to marry Mia, an offer she shouldn't refuse. Mia realizes with a jolt that this marriage proposal is the real reason for their sudden visit. Mia furiously retorts that if the offer is so great, her aunt should send her own daughter, but the woman shrieks that the family specifically wants Mia. Her aunt clarifies that they want Mia Fortuna, revealing they were promised help for Georgie and Ermengarde's social debut in return. Distorted with fury, the aunt screams at Mia, demanding how she could possibly refuse such an offer. Mia meets her aunt's rage with a cold, unwavering glare. The uncle chimes in, telling Mia to cure her husband's gambling addiction if she truly wants to save her family, leaving Mia stunned. He angrily blames their vices for their children's bleak future, insisting the fault lies with them, not with Mia. Enraged by her defiance, the uncle raises his hand to strike Mia. Thwack! Mr. Dante intervenes with a swift, powerful kick, sending the man flying. The uncle hits the ground hard as his wife looks on in shock. As her husband groans in pain, the aunt furiously demands to know what Mr. Dante thinks he's doing. Mia looks at her uncle on the ground and calmly states that she did warn him. Her aunt launches into a tirade, calling Mia a stubborn troublemaker and sneering that no other man would want her. A voice cuts through the argument, declaring, "I'll take her, so stop your pointless worrying." Mr. Dante stands resolute amidst a background of white roses, his expression serious. "I'll marry her, so stop worrying about such nonsense." The scene focuses on Mr. Dante's crossed arms, framed by the ethereal white roses. A flustered chibi Mia looks up at him in disbelief, protesting that this wasn't part of their plan. Mia sputters in confusion, completely baffled by his sudden proposal. The aunt smirks, pointing out a legal loophole. Mia is under 21 and needs a guardian's approval to marry. Standing with her husband, the aunt smugly declares that as Mia's legal guardians, they will never approve, leaving Mia shocked into silence. Cursing the church law, Mia clenches her fist, fearing her relatives will now try to drag her away by force. Mr. Dante calmly counters their threat by stating that they will simply... The aunt explodes with rage, accusing him of being a lowborn who's after Mia's inheritance, while Mia thinks it's time for her to step in. Leaping to his defense, Mia shouts that her aunt should stop being rude, revealing that Mr. Dante is a high-ranking noble. Flustered, Mia's aunt refuses to believe her, questioning why a high-ranking noble would ever wear a servant's apron. Her uncle whispers to her, also doubting Mr. Dante's status and wondering how Mia could possibly afford such a grand house. A striking close-up of Mr. Dante's face lingers as the question of his nobility hangs in the air. The aunt stares with a skeptical, calculating expression. Remaining silent, she challenges him, stating that a true noble would have an invitation to the founding festival ball, to which he calmly confirms, that's correct. Hiding a smirk behind her fan, the aunt notes that he will be attending with Mia. She presses the point, asking if he plans to introduce Mia as his fiancée to high society, making Mia visibly nervous. Mia panics, fearing the scandal of a commoner being introduced as noble's fiancée, but Mr. Dante coolly confirms it was always his intention. The aunt sarcastically remarks on how thorough he is. Turning to Mia, she declares with a smug look that they will soon see if their claims are true. With a final piercing gaze, the aunt says she hopes to see the two of them there together. Mia and Mr. Dante walk away from the confrontation down a sunlit garden path. Mia sincerely thanks him for his help, apologizing that he has had to suffer because of her foolish relatives twice. He gives her a gentle, reassuring smile, saying he was glad he could be of help. Anxiously, Mia tells Mr. Dante that he doesn't have to attend the ball with her, as she doesn't want to cause him any trouble. He surprises her by revealing he's never had anyone he actually wanted to attend with before. Laughing, she says he must be incredibly popular, but he clarifies that being popular and wanting to go with someone are two different things. Mr. Dante closes his eyes and smiles contentedly in the warm, floral-scented air. Mia watches him with a thoughtful and slightly stunned expression. She looks down and quietly admits that she has never been to a ball before. Mr. Dante's expression softens as he tells her it's an honor to share his master's first. Flustered by his comment, she insists she's just an ungifted commoner. He playfully asks if he's not a good enough partner for her, causing her to quickly deny it. He smiles, promising not to wear an apron to the ball, which only leaves her more confused. Her imagination runs wild, picturing his hero's cool entrance at the ball while still wearing his apron, and she cringes in horror. She clarifies she was worried about rumors from a future real engagement, but he calmly suggests they just really get engaged then. His sudden, serious proposal leaves her utterly speechless. Mr. Dante gazes down at her, his expression unreadable as he waits for her response. She wonders if he's being serious, a hint of hope and confusion in her eyes. She offers a strange deal, promising to mess up his house regularly if his proposal is just about cleaning, a plan captioned, "Declaration to wreck someone else's home." He explains that since taking his leave, he has received an increasing number of marriage recommendations. Mia realizes he's proposing a strategic engagement for their mutual convenience, and he confirms her suspicion. She hesitates, internally worrying about the consequences of getting engaged to the male lead and the chaos that will ensue when the true heroine appears. Sensing her doubt, he tells her she can refuse and save the wish he owes her for later. Her eyes widen as she remembers the wish he offered her as an apology. With renewed determination, she agrees to put on a show at the ball, deciding they can just break off the engagement later. He agrees but adds with a menacing smile that he will destroy any other person who comes along, while Mia reasons a broken engagement is better than divorce. Suspicious of his smile, she worries he might ask for something strange with the wish later, and decides she must use it now. Putting on a brave face, she declares that she'll use her wish immediately. The two stand together amidst a shower of flower petals, a silent agreement passing between them. Mia happily squishes the cheeks of the cute little red dragon. As she plays with the dragon in the garden, she reflects on the contract engagement she agreed to, wondering if it was the right choice. She recalls the plot of the original story, remembering the main characters, even if the details are hazy. She thinks of Dante Van Dyke, the character from the story who constantly opposed the protagonist. The story's narrative reveals there was always a strange tension between the two of them. She grows worried, realizing the two characters might meet at the founding festival. She reasons that if Mr. Dante falls for the female lead as the story dictates, she, as an extra, will finally be free of him. Following that thought, she realizes that once he leaves, the other men living with her will likely depart as well. The scene fades to a desolate image of her standing utterly alone in a vast, empty hall, faced with the prospect of being abandoned once more. Determined to face her next challenge, Mia declares she must first deal with the upcoming ball, as a small red dragon flies by, a satisfied customer. She startles a man reading a newspaper, eagerly asking Mr. Matthias to teach her how to speak like a noble. Looking up from his paper, the dark-haired man, Mr. Matthias, asks what she's so suddenly talking about. Mia explains that she has to attend the founding ball and worries she won't be able to understand the other nobles. In a cute chibi fantasy, she begs him to be her teacher. After a moment of thought, Mr. Matthias agrees to test her with a question. How would you respond to the gesture? Mia imagines the situation and comes up with a very casual and improper answer. Mr. Matthias criticizes her, stating that refinement and dignity are not innate qualities, much like her lack of housekeeping skills, leaving Mia confused. He bluntly informs her that her answer was wrong. He explains that the proper response is to praise the dish, revealing the offer was a veiled insult, mocking her as a commoner from the countryside. Ah! The realization hits Mia, as she understands the subtle, terrifying cruelty of noble etiquette. A chibi Mr. Matthias lectures Mia on the hidden meanings in noble speech, stressing the importance of manners and rank at social events for a commoner like her. Overwhelmed by his harsh lecture, Mia decides she needs to find a different teacher. She spots the knight standing watch near the gate. Mia cheerfully approaches the knight, calling out to Mr. Killian to ask him a question. The knight assumes she's worried about the garden and reassures her the seedlings have been replanted, but she explains she needs advice for the founding ball. Mr. Killian explains that as a foreigner who earned his title through merit, he rarely attends social gatherings and cannot advise her. Mia sighs in disappointment, admitting she thought he would be the best person to teach her. He apologizes for not being able to help, and she graciously tells him it's fine. Left on her own again, Mia wonders who else she could possibly ask for help. She runs through her limited options, dismissing Mr. Eluard as strange and feeling guilty about asking Mr. Dante for more help. Her gaze falls upon the pink-haired boy, Killian. Mia rushes over to Killian, whom she calls Izzy, praising him as the smartest and most knowledgeable person she knows. Flattered, Izzy puffs out his chest with pride, as Mia calls him the great tower master Izya. With her hands clasped, she sweetly asks Mr. Izzy how she should prepare for the ball. Izzy explains the most important thing is a dress and asks if she has one, but Mia sadly admits she has nothing to wear. She then asks if he would help her choose a dress, since it's her first time buying one. Izzy smiles and begins to agree, waving his hand nonchalantly. He suddenly stops, realizing he's getting swept up by her flattery and the mood of the moment. Izzy flatly refuses, and when a shocked Mia asks if he's busy, he confirms it. He points to a giant pile of burnt pastries, explaining he's busy trying to remake the madeleines. Staring at the charred mound, Mia thinks to herself that it looks more like a pile of coal. Izzy observes her recent attempts at baking, and she admits that she thought bread would be easier. Mia suggests he could use magic to make it easier, but Izzy firmly declares he will not use it. A close-up shows Izzy's intense, golden eyes filled with resolve. He clutches his chest with a serious expression, leaving Mia watching with concern. Mia looks on, wondering if she understands his reason. She speculates that he might be tired of the immense pressure and expectations that come with being known as a genius. Reaching out, Mia gently takes Izzy's hand to get his attention. She reassures him that everyone, special or ordinary, builds experience through trial and error. Continuing her encouragement, she tells him that true failure is giving up, praising him for facing his challenge head-on. Mia offers a warm, radiant smile, surrounded by a blossoming floral aura. In a chibi scene, Izzy calls her words surprisingly convincing, while she mutters that her attempt at comfort is unappreciated. She asks one last time if he'll come shopping, but he declines, determined to successfully bake the madeleines himself. Izzy stands solemnly, his pink bangs shadowing his expression of resolve. His determined eyes glint with focus. Frustrated, Mia wonders if she has to go alone, dreading the thought of asking the demon Mr. Eluard. Just then, a cheerful Mr. Eluard appears, greeting his master with a wide grin. Startled by his sudden arrival, Mia asks where he came from, to which the blonde man replies, "I heard everything." Surrounded by a shower of red rose petals, Mr. Eluard gives a sly, confident smile.